680's Richard Southern joins us now. And Richard, we talked about earlier in the show the new American State Secretary of State. It'll be the CEO of ExxonMobil. And just curious, how is the business community reacting to this?
Yeah, I guess you could call it a business-friendly appointment. Certainly, it sent ExxonMobil stock higher today, and that's because, and it's what critics are saying now, Francis, is that Mr. Rex Tillerson, who's been with ExxonMobil his entire career, he's the current CEO, and the critics say he could really help the company make some big financial gains. That's because billions of dollars in deals can go forward for Exxon if the U.S. lifts sanctions against Russia. Exxon has various projects in Russia that have been ground to a halt by sanctions, including a deal to explore and pump in Siberia. That could be worth tens of billions of dollars. And Mr. Tillerson has previously voiced skepticism about the sanctions. So again, critics raising some questions about this appointment. ExxonMobil stock was up 1 3/4%. Tillerson is scheduled to retire from the oil giant in March. He has $218 million in company stock and a $70 million pension coming his way, Francis.
Wow. You know what? I went to Italy a couple of years ago for work, and ever since then, I can only drink espresso. I can't just drink a regular cup of coffee.
Well, la-di-da, Francis.
Latte-da, actually. And now companies like Tim Hortons are trying to get my business.
Yeah, because right now, Tim Hortons, their machines that make cappuccinos and espressos, they use powdered coffee and milk. And so, you know, there's big coffee wars here in Canada, big battle for coffee dollars. And so Tim Hortons looking to step up their game. They're testing out machines that make those specialty coffees from fresh ground beans and from steamed milk. These machines cost $12,000. Looks like Tim Hortons might be rolling these out across the chain. So going to be a bit of a cost to the franchisees. But McDonald's recently announced that it will be installing new espresso machines in the new year, and Starbucks is rolling out a new specialty chain that sells $10 cups of rare reserve coffee, right? So there's a big need for Tim Hortons to keep pace here, Francis.
A $12,000 machine. That's crazy. Hope it tastes good.
Specialty coffee growing at twice the pace of regular coffee. So a lot of money to be made in this sector right now.
Crazy. A lot of money to be made in the pot industry, especially given the recommendations from the federal task force today. So what did pot stocks do?
Yeah, they went way up today. We saw an across-the-board rally for these medical marijuana stocks on Bay Street. The task force report seemed to indicate that it will be these medical marijuana producers supplying the recreational market. That's key because that has been the long-term business plan for these names. So Canopy Growth up almost 8%, Aurora Cannabis up 6%, Afri up 5 1/3. The valuations are way out of whack. The stock prices right now really don't represent the earnings. So that's a bit of an issue, but a lot of the analysts in the space, they point towards the fact that these Canadian companies could expand internationally. They point out that they could perhaps start to replace some of the opioid drugs in the U.S., some of the pain medication drugs. So that could be another big market for them. And one of the analysts I was talking to today, Francis, he was glad that the age to sell was set at 18 because that's part of the target demo for these companies. So that really includes a large swath of people that these companies are aiming the product at.
And you know, so many people are wondering just how much money will it bring into government coffers, recreational pot. So can we look maybe to Colorado to help us get a figure here?
Right, it's been legal there for a couple of years. And look at some of these numbers. They have done $1 billion in business through just the first 10 months of the year in Colorado. So just over $1 billion of pot sold between January 1st and October 31st. Sales expected to top $1.3 billion this year, and that's brought in almost $50 million in tax revenue for the state. Colorado has a population of 5.3 million, Canada with a population of more than 35 million. So it's clear to see here, Francis, that there's a lot of green to be made in the marijuana space.
No doubt. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.